And hello, as you know, I've got a website about my bike and my travels, and somebody sent me an email asking me to tell more about my bike. Well, here we go. And this is my bike, my Suzuki V-Strom DL1000, and she's fairly standard. There's a few little things that have changed, not many, so let me walk you through the bike. At the front there, I've got my two fog lamps. It seems that everyone who has these types of bikes puts fog lamps on, and I must admit they're invaluable when you're in town or busy places, because it just gives you some extra lights and it's a little bit more awareness for other drivers. And I shouldn't call them fog lights really, I should call them daylight running lights, because that's what they are. And what have we got here now? I've got a couple of bags. In that bag, that's where I keep my waterproof oversuit, which I've had to use twice this week actually, yes. And that's ready to get out, so I don't have to dig into the panniers for those, just they're ready on hand. And on the other side, I've got another bag there, and I've got two crook locks, because it'd be a little bit of a pain if someone stole my bike while I was in the middle of a different country. So I've got two crook locks, and if I'm in a town or something like that, I put both of the locks on, one on the front brakes and one on the rear brakes. And let's walk around the bike a bit more. What have we got here? Oh, and I've got my windscreen, which is my Give It Airflow, and that is brilliant. It's a zillion times better than a standard Suzuki screen, because I can lift it, I can raise it, I can lower it, and it just diverts all the air straight over your helmet, and you can honestly be doing 80-90 miles an hour and have your helmet open. It's a really good screen. The only difference I've made to this, I've stayed the lower one, I've sprayed the insides black, because when you put the lights on, it reflects light up in there, so, and it would carry the light. So I've sprayed the inside black, and it makes it a bit more easier at night time for nighttime riding. Okay, the handlebars are changed from the stock Suzuki bars. I found them to be a little bit too upright, so I've changed them for some bars that have got a little bit more of a sweep back. Makes it a bit more comfortable for riding. I also put some other rear view mirrors on, because the standard Suzuki ones tend to give a little bit of turbulence. These are a little bit more streamlined, so they cut down on the turbulence. And I've got my connection for my phone, I've got my connection for my sat nav, and just here, that's where I've got the oil reservoir for my chain lubricator, which is good, because well, oil is you really do need to oil your chain very often, and I found that chain lube is just too messy and gummy and gooey. And what I found is the chain lube, I just put standard oil in there, and it comes down little pipe there, goes onto the back sprocket, and it does a great job. Now at the back end, I've got a rear hugger, which is that, and that's the Puig rear hugger, and it does a great job of keeping all the mud and dirt off the rear suspension unit, which is just down there. You still get a lot of rubbish down there, but it does cut back the rubbish that you get on the rear suspension unit. I've also changed the foot pegs from the Suzuki ones to SW Motec, and they lowered the foot pegs just a touch, which I kind of prefer. What else have we got now? The seat. You probably noticed the seat. The stock Suzuki seat looks great, but actually after about an hour of riding it, you want to get off. So I bought this seat. It's a Corbin seat. Bought it off a great chap called Bob, and in Glasgow, and it lets me stay on the bike a couple more hours longer than I normally would be able to with the Suzuki seat. Okay, what else have we got here? I've got two containers, and this first container holds a small tank which contains all the methylated spirits of my cooking stove. That carries about 1.5 litres, which really is about 2 weeks worth of cooking for me. And on the other side, I've got another one, and in here I've got a fire extinguisher. I don't honestly think the bike is going to burst into flame anytime soon, but working on the premise that if you have a fire extinguisher, you never need it. On the other hand, is if you've never got one, you're bound to need one. So that's why I've got a fire extinguisher. So far, I've never used it. On the back here, I've got my racks for my Suzuki panniers, which I actually believe are SW Motec panniers. And I've also got my Kappa rear box, which is great. And in there, when I'm travelling, that's where I keep my laptop, my iPad, and my spare gloves, and a flask, and some snacks, some Scooby Snaps for when I'm on the road. And that is my Suzuki. Oh, I also changed the rear disc as well from the standard Suzuki disc. I had to change my brake pads a little while ago, and the rear brake disc was a little bit worn, so I put a new disc brake on it. My tyres are Metzeler Torrent tyres, which are pretty damn good, wet or dry, and you can really lean into the corners of them. Although the next set of tyres I get, I'm just going to go to completely road tyres because I don't do a great deal of off-roading. And on here I also fitted a helmet lock, which has been invaluable this trip because sometimes I go into city centres and I leave the bike while I have a wander around, and so I lock my helmet on the bike. And that is my Suzuki V-Strom. At the moment I'm in Poland. I'm about 3 weeks, just over 3 weeks into my trip into Europe. I've done about 3,250 miles, and the bike has just been brilliant. Not a single thing has gone wrong with her. I checked my oil levels this morning, topped up the oil a little bit, and I probably used a couple of thimblefuls of oil, not a great deal of oil at all. The oil that I do use is on my chain, and I've topped up about twice since I've been away. It doesn't use much oil. But this is the Suzuki V-Strom, and she's taking me around Europe, and tomorrow we're off to Prague, which is about 180 200 mile ride, which will be fun, because I'm not sure what the roads are like going into Czechia, but that's part of the trip. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.